Why you feel invisible in marriage? The answer surprised me. Your pastor won't tell you this about feeling invisible in marriage, but as someone who's walked this path, I have to. Quick question. What time of day do you feel most invisible in your marriage? Drop it in the comments. Is it morning when she doesn't acknowledge you, evening when she's on her phone, or late at night, lying next to someone who feels like a stranger? If you clicked on this video, you're probably lying awake at night wondering if feeling completely unseen by your wife is just part of marriage. Maybe you've been told by well-meaning people that this is normal, that men just need to serve more and expect less. I believed that lie for years during my own marriage crisis, but here's what surprised me during my journey from emotional breakdown to breakthrough. Feeling invisible isn't normal, even in difficult marriages. And the reasons why will probably surprise you too. This is real faith, real struggle content for brothers who are ready for the truth. I'm not a licensed counselor. I'm a brother who walked through years of feeling like a ghost in my own home and found hope on the other side through the grounded believer community. It's not about her responsiveness. It's about emotional design. The first thing that surprised me might shock you too. I spent years thinking that feeling invisible meant my wife was broken, selfish, or just didn't care. I'd lie awake, cataloging all the ways she ignored my emotional needs, thinking if I could just prove how much I was hurting, she'd finally see me. But here's what I discovered in Genesis 2:18. God said, "It is not good for man to be alone." Not just physically alone, but emotionally isolated. The Hebrew word for alone is bad, meaning incomplete, lacking something essential. Here's the truth that surprised me. Your need to be seen and emotionally known isn't about her responsiveness, it's about how God designed you. You were created for connection, and feeling invisible violates that design regardless of why it's happening. This means your pain is valid even if she's going through her own struggles. Your emotional needs don't disappear just because circumstances are difficult. But here's where it gets even more surprising. This second realization changed everything about how I saw myself. I had convinced myself that feeling invisible meant I was unimportant, just the provider, the fix-it guy, the spiritual leader who wasn't supposed to need anything. I thought being Christ-like meant becoming smaller and smaller until I disappeared completely. But look at Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, Matthew 26:38. He told his disciples, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Jesus, the Son of God, asked for emotional support and presence. Here's what surprised me. Being invisible in your marriage doesn't mean you're unimportant. It means something is broken in the dynamic. Even Jesus needed to be seen and supported in his darkest moments. Your role as a husband includes being seen, known, and emotionally supported. Leadership doesn't equal invisibility. It requires connection to be healthy. And brother, if this is hitting home for you, if you're realizing that you've been believing the lie that you don't matter, make sure you're following the grounded believer for more real faith, real struggle content. Hit that subscribe button if these truths are bringing you hope. I share content like this every week for men walking this same path. And that leads to the third thing that completely shifted my perspective. If you've ever felt guilty for wanting emotional connection, this will set you free. The church taught me that wanting my wife to ask, "How are you?" or initiate a hug was selfish, that real men don't need emotional support, that if I was truly walking in faith, I wouldn't crave her attention and care. But Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says, "Two are better than one. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up." The word help here includes emotional and spiritual support. It's mutual, not one-sided. Here's the truth that surprised me most. Your emotional needs aren't selfish. They're human. God designed marriage to include mutual emotional support, not just you serving while emotionally starving. You have permission to want your wife to care about your thoughts, dreams, and struggles. Wanting to matter to her as a person, not just a provider, is completely normal and biblical. But here's where most Christian men get trapped. This fourth insight might make you angry. It did me. Every time I felt invisible, well-meaning Christians told me to just love her more, serve her better, or pray harder. So I did. I served until I was exhausted, loved until I was empty, and prayed until I felt like God wasn't listening either. But Ephesians 5:28-29 says husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. And no one ever hated their own body, but they feed and care for it. Notice, you're supposed to care for yourself too. Here's what surprised me. Performance Christianity was killing my soul. The just love her more advice was incomplete because it ignored the biblical truth that you need emotional nourishment too. Loving sacrificially doesn't mean emotional suicide. You can be a faithful husband while also acknowledging when your emotional needs aren't being met. Both can be true, and that leads to the final truth that changed everything. This last point might be the most important one for your situation. I was taught that seeking counseling meant my faith was weak, that real Christians should be able to handle marriage problems through prayer and Bible study alone. So I suffered in silence for years, getting spiritually exhausted and emotionally sicker. But Luke 5:31 records Jesus saying, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick." Jesus affirmed professional help when we're struggling. And Proverbs 27:17 says, "Iron sharpens iron." We need other people's wisdom and expertise. Here's what surprised me. Professional counseling and biblical faith work together perfectly. Getting help for emotional invisibility isn't a spiritual failure, it's biblical wisdom. If you're struggling with feeling invisible in your marriage, consider both spiritual support through community like the Grounded Believer and professional counseling. God uses both to bring healing. Your life matters, your struggle is real, and there is hope. If this content is serving you, if you're finding hope and truth that you haven't heard anywhere else, please subscribe to the Grounded Believer. I create content every week specifically for brothers walking through these struggles, and I don't want you to miss the support and community that's here for you. Hit that subscribe button. You're not alone in this fight. So there you have it, 5 truths about feeling invisible in marriage that might surprise you. Your need for connection is by design, not selfish. Invisible doesn't mean unimportant. Your emotional needs are human and biblical. Performance Christianity is killing your soul, and professional help works with faith, not against it. Brother, if you're watching this and feeling seen for the first time in months or years, you're not alone. There's a whole community of faithful men who understand this struggle because we've walked through it ourselves. Remember, real faith acknowledges real struggle. Your pain is valid, your needs are legitimate, and there is hope for your situation. Now that you understand why feeling invisible isn't normal, you might be wondering, okay, but how do I actually address this in my marriage without making things worse? That's exactly what I cover in the next video. Here's the thing. Understanding the problem is just the first step. Knowing how to lovingly address it while protecting your mental health and your marriage, that's where real transformation happens. So click the video that's appearing on your screen right now because I'm breaking down the exact approach I used to go from invisible to genuinely seen without requiring my wife to change first. When you combine what you just learned with what's in that video, you'll have a complete framework for addressing emotional invisibility in your marriage. Remember, I'm not a licensed counselor or therapist. I'm a brother who's walked through similar struggles and found hope on the other side. The insights I share come from personal experience, biblical study, and the wisdom of other men who've traveled this path. If you're in crisis or dealing with severe depression, please reach out to qualified mental health professionals. What we offer here at The Grounded Believer is brotherhood support and shared experiences, not professional counseling. This is a community where real faith meets real struggle, and you're welcome here exactly as you are, struggling, questioning, and needing support. That's what brotherhood looks like.